Boom. Philosophy. Scribble by Dibbles. Karen Purdy from Newton Falls, Ohio. Marty. Foxhill Dreams. Stephanie L. Samantha Hawkins. Misha Oliver. Sandra from Paramount, California. Sony G. Monique Lee. Melissa McQueen. Tina G. Lisa Hathaway. And me, BDD in the Heezy. Bernadette H. Meek Spees. Queen of the South. That damn Alaskan. Lori B. Wilma Fingerdew. God damn. Oh no, that shit made me weak. Oh my God, that must be Matt Meehan. Kimini, Veronica Tello, Kimberly Moss, Meredith Powell, Peter is a Boss, Cha-Cha, The Trump Reaper, your boy Ken, Garden Always, Patricia Haverkamp, Susan Papalardo. Welcome to another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad, and this is Storytime. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Let me see. Who did I miss here? I see Cindy C. in the Heezy, Jim Rubin, Sarah B. Let's see. Rita Bartley from PA. What's up, Rita? Misha Oliver. Cecile Kazimi. Punxsutawney Mo. Let's see. Shell Teresa is with us. Wojo Mom is here. Luppy Girl. Lee Saunders. Yeah, Matt made me lose it with wait, was Matt Wilma Fingerdew? Because I seriously, at one point, I thought I was going to have to call Wifey to help me. He could not recover. RJ is here. Let's see. But that's Destiny's Diamond. That's cool. That's very cool. I like that. Marty. Marty thinks Spanky is especially annoying lately. I don't know if what's the difference between him annoying before or annoying now. He's just nonstop annoying. Gary Lewis is here. Hey, Jim Rubin, thank you, my friend, for the kind donation. It's let's see, and Eddie G. All right, the gang is all here. Let us not waste another second, and let's jump into our stories of the day.
Stories of the day.
All right, and where's my music? I need my stories of the day music here. Here we go. Are we moving from pandemic to endemic? Yes, we are. Today, I will give you the Ukraine update. A lot of stuff happened over the past 3 days, and we'll get into all of that. Name that historical black figure. This is the guessing game for our last day of Black History Month. And last but not least, today's You Raggedy Bish is none other than Marjorie Three Toes, aka Marjorie Taylor Greene. There it is. Eventually I will get the hang of the audio and the visual in my new layout here, but let's go ahead and jump right on into our random stuff, and I need some random tunes for that in the background there. And let's see, what do we got? People saying more toes than brain cells. It's MTG. Yes. And Gary Lewis says, MTG, boo, so played out. I agree, indeed. All right, so in the Brooklyn Dad household, for me, an exciting day is getting a new doorknob. Seriously, I kid you not. I mean, it's one of those things where something irritates you about this doorknob, whether it's, it sticks when it's hot or it sticks when it's cold or whatever. So when we finally get around to doing that shit, it's like a mini Christmas. For real. It's those little things that you learn to appreciate, I don't know, later in life, I suppose. Another thing that's maybe not so little, but no less important. Last night, I finally got around to installing an app called RoboKiller. Some of you might have seen a commercial for RoboKiller. And I did it because my peace and quiet last night was disturbed at 2:30 in the a.m. by random trolls who have somehow managed to acquire my cell phone number, and they thought, hey, let's call Brooklyn Dad at 2:30 in the morning 10 times. Yeah. And, I've learned, I answer the phone. When I answer the phone, I make sure I'm like as abrasive as possible because I'm not expecting anybody to call me. So I'm like, hello? And somebody, thought they were clever. Oh, is this Majid? Yeah, what do you think about President Trump running in 2024? Like, what? What? And I didn't even say anything. I just let him talk until they feel the stupidity setting in that I'm calling this dude, this grown person that I don't even know, in the middle of the night, and he's not even saying anything. What kind of joy am I getting from this bullshit? And I guess they needed more time to figure that part of the equation out because they kept calling me afterwards. And I'd pick it up, and then I just hung up. And I picked it up, and I hung up. And it's like, this is some bullshit to have to do in the middle of the night. Let me just get an automated thing. So, unfortunately, I haven't had any more trolls call me since then. So if that son of a bitch troll is watching now, bring it. I got apps for you. I got apps handling my light work, you punk ass bitch. You need your no life having mother. God damn it. All right. Anyway, enough of that. I did say that wifey and I were going to check out this show on Netflix. It's called The Tinder Swindler. And oh my God, there's some horrible people in this world. There's horrible people. And we all know this because we had one of those horrible people in the White House for 4 years. But this is like a real life person. And so this is a documentary told from the point of view of 3 victims of this guy. And they're telling this story. And at first you're watching it, and I can't help but recall as I'm watching it, I was thinking to myself, well, you just stupid fool if you let yourself get wrapped up into this. And then I just kept watching and I was like, oh shit, but this guy is nefarious and he is preying on. There's certain kinds of people in life that when others are in need, they help out. And there's others that are parasites that will just see that you're in need and they will feed off of that. And that's what this jackass is, this loser who he does an elaborate scheme. It's very elaborate. It takes like a month of him dating them to unfold. And he's dating them. He's taking them on fancy private jet rides, but he pays for this private jet ride with the money from other women, right? So he gets money from woman B to wine and dine woman A, and meanwhile, woman C is busy taking out loans to pay for all this shit. So it was fascinating, but also infuriating, especially when you get to the end of the show and you learn that the dude is out and about. He's out there in the world. Yeah, these are only 3 of his victims. He's got way more than just 3 victims. That's only 3 of them. And he's out doing his thing. He's fully exposed. He's been exposed by all these different magazines and periodicals and news organizations. And they're just, it's disgusting. Disgusting. Anyway, moving on to more funner topics like a serial killer. A series about a good serial killer is Dexter. Now, he's not really good, but he kind of is. Dexter is a guy who, his father had determined when he was very young that Dexter was going to be a serial killer. Like, he was like mad young, like maybe 8 or 9 years old. And he figured out that Dexter was going to need some stewardship to guide him. Otherwise, he was going to end up in the electric chair or injection chair, whatever. So he gave him a code, a set of rules to follow, that you will never, ever, ever kill an innocent person. You only kill people that this world is not going to miss, right? So, he's killing rapists and other serial killers. He's like an apex predator, and it's a fascinating show. Very well done. It gives you inner monologue of this guy, right? So I had been watching this for a while, up until season 4 or season 5. Then wifey and I fell off and we got interested in other shit. And then we just recently started watching this. We resumed watching it again. And we got up to the final season. It was season 8. And I had heard that people were pissed off about the finale, the series finale. This, by the way, is a picture of Dexter on his kill table, wrapped up on his kill table, and that's his sister Deb, who is a cop. She's a detective, actually. And the last season had some twists and turns. He actually met the woman who helped install the code that allows him to function as a serial killer, function in society. But at the end of the day, the way they finished this out, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I was very, very dissatisfied what they did with a major character. And I know the season 8 finished about 6 or 7 years ago. So, if you're like me and you're only just now getting around to it, well, that's your own damn fault. But I won't spoil it anyway, in case there's like one person who's like, hey, I want to see that. So anyway, there's a new season out which I will probably be checking out. And hopefully they do a better job of wrapping that new season. And I'm definitely not looking for any spoilers, guys. So if you've seen this, say nothing to me about it. Okay. Meanwhile, I also did say that I wanted to catch up on a show that Wifey has been watching that she enjoys, and I wanted to enjoy it with her. So it is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Anyway, this show is fantastic. I love this. Wait. Oh, look at that. Lee Saunders says that Peaky Blinders is out there. That's another one of my favorite shows. I do enjoy that show, so I'll be checking that out once it's out here. I don't think it's out here yet. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is a fantastic, very intriguing look at, it's like a period piece. It takes place in the late 50s, early 60s, and in which the main character, Midge, aka Mrs. Maisel, she is an aspiring stand-up comedian, but she doesn't know it yet. She's actually vicariously living through her husband, who thinks he's meant to be a stand-up comedian, but he sucks. He sucks at it. He also sucks at being a husband too, as he abandons his wife and 2 kids for the secretary. Total stereotypical jackass, right? But Midge, I think her actual name is Miriam, back then in the late 50s, early 60s, it was unheard of for a woman. Well, not unheard of, but it was frowned upon, at least in her family and social circles, frowned upon for her to work and frowned upon for her to aspire to, or not even to have a husband was like a shameful thing, right? So he left her, and then his mother and father victimized her again. It's terrible. But anyway, she has a natural knack for comedy. Usually when she's pissed off or she's drunk or something, she'll unload a fantastic, hilarious set. And the woman next to her turns out to be her manager, who is also the voice of Lois in The Family Guy. I don't know if anybody recognizes her. Her father is hilarious. This is the guy who played Monk, Tony Shalhoub. He is hysterical. I like her father character very much. And actually, I love a great deal of the characters in this show. Very interesting. And I love comedy. I love stand-up comedy. I remember one of the first record albums I bought as a child was Steve Martin's Comedy Is Not Pretty. I must have been 8 or 9 years old, walking into a record store, buying a full-length comedy album. Yeah, so I fully enjoyed this show, and I highly recommend, if you have not yet seen The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, check it out. What's up, Watcher Circle? I see you. Better late than never. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our quick hits. Yeah, you son of a bee. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Where are we at now? Cha says her first comedy album was Bill Cosby. I had a Bill Cosby album. It was called To Russell, My Brother, Whom I Slept With. It's really, unfortunate that he turned out to be such a jackass, because his comedy, I grew up listening to his comedy on that album for years. Who knew he was going to turn out to be a rapist? Disgusting. Anyway, quick hits. Let's jump into it. Okay, so we have a Ukraine update. As you all know here, Ukraine has been under assault by Russia. Russia has invaded the country. And I believe Belarus is also expected to jump into the fray. And that's not good. What is good is that Dr. Jill Biden had an event earlier today for Black History Month, and she was spotted at the event wearing a mask with a sunflower on it. Sunflower is the national flower of Ukraine. And I just remember that woman last week said something she was cursing out these Russian soldiers, and she said, why don't you put some sunflower seeds in your pocket so that when you die on this land, sunflowers will grow. I thought that was hardcore. That was brutal. So yeah, the Ukrainians are mounting quite a resistance, despite the fact that their resistance is fierce. President Biden's administration has made it clear that they do expect Russia will claim Kyiv. But with that said, that's not to say that Putin has not gotten frustrated, extremely frustrated by his own miscalculation. He did not calculate that the resistance would be so fierce so early. And to that extent, this weekend, he raised his nuclear threat. Which actually that was also in result to some mean words by one of the Western nations or some of the Western nations. You know, that's what a bully does. You know, he wants to threaten everybody. He wants to threaten the entire planet with nukes. Just so you know, I have these nukes. Yeah, we know. You don't have to tell us that. You know, the sign of power, of real power, is having it and not having to remind every freaking person that you have it. You understand? Putin, you punk ass biatch. Meanwhile, the Western nations, the United States, the EU, Canada, have all decided actually to kick most, not all, but most Russian banks off of the SWIFT system, which is a big deal. It's a very big deal. This decision came out, I believe it was Saturday. It's a big deal because the EU originally was not for it. And they reassessed their position, and that's what they're doing now. Even bigger deal is that Switzerland, of all countries, Switzerland never picks a side. Switzerland is always like, my name is Bennett and I ain't in it. You know, they're like right down the middle. Whether we got our blinders on, we're not taking sides. They have taken a side. They've sided with Ukraine. And they have also announced some sanctions against Russia. This is humongous. It's a very, very, very big deal. You know, Putin has showed his ass. And Ukraine has also submitted forms to have Putin or Russia brought before the Hague for war crimes. War crimes, because they are attacking civilians. You know, if you're such a badass, if you're so rough and tough, big and bad, you don't attack civilians. What kind of shit is that? That's what the bad guys do. That's what, you know, you're Putin, you're on the side of Darth Vader. I don't know if you realize this yet. You are the bad guy. You are the one that the entire world is united against. If you wake up one day and the whole world is united against you, you have to, you know, reassess your life's choices. You have to. It can't be everybody else is wrong. Meanwhile, the world has found a new hero in President Zelensky. President Zelensky is, I'd be shocked if he is not Person of the Year for whenever that the next time Time magazine comes out with that award. It's got to be President Zelensky. I can't see who else it would be, because this brother has moved the world with a quote. He said, so the United States offered to get him on out of there because it's a dangerous situation he's in. It is, make no mistake, it is dangerous. That would be a big prize for Russian army to get, is to capture President Zelensky, because he is motivating his troops. So he declined to be taken out of Ukraine and said, the fight is here. I need ammunition, not a ride. Ammunition, not a ride. That shit is going to go down as one of the most badass quotes of all time. I remember the first time I saw President Zelensky, I didn't think much of him, honestly. I have nothing against Zelensky, and I don't like to judge a book by its cover, but if you're being honest, we all do it. He seemed to me diminutive. He didn't seem like a scary dude, and he's not a scary dude, but he also didn't seem like, I didn't know he had cojones like that. He's got cojones. There he is eating with his troops. That's fantastic. I mean, think about how motivating. Hey, Solid Blue Sister, I see you there. Welcome. And Gavin Rutherford is here too. Garden always kindly pointing out that Zelensky used to be a comedian. Yeah, he was a comedian. He was also on Dancing with, I guess the Ukrainian version of Dancing with the Stars. He's got a whole lot of shit. He was, he's an actor. He was, and it's not like we haven't had actors in, political roles before. We had Reagan. Nobody ever saw Ronnie Reagan do anything as badass as President Zelensky. But meanwhile, while Zelensky's eating with the troops, there's Putin huddled. Oh my God. This is how he's meeting with his officials 30 feet away. This is the longest ass table I have ever seen. What is they were like, give me the longest table and then build another 10 feet onto it. That's a ridiculously long ass table. That's almost like, that's like a parody from the Austin Powers movie or something. I swear to you, that is funny as shit. The only thing he's missing is like an intercom, right? You ever see those comedy movies where two people are sitting at a long ass table? It's so long they need an intercom so that they don't have to shout. It's hilarious. Trump Reaper saying, so they cannot poison him? Possibly, but I saw somebody pointed out earlier today, they said Macron was at that long ass table with him too. So I don't think nobody expects Macron to try to poison someone. They believe maybe he's physically ill. So yeah, they're calling President Zelensky Captain Ukraine right now. He is galvanizing the troops there. They have renewed vim and vigor. He is a hopeful figure. People look to him now for motivation. And yes, he was also Paddington Bear. That is cool as hell. He did all of these things. It's amazing. Also, what he has done was today he signed papers to admit Ukraine into the European Union. It's a pretty big deal. Now, I don't know all of the wrinkles that come with admission as a member of the European Union. But I guess, with anything, membership has its privileges. So I don't know what that means. I think I saw someone said earlier today, for instance, people have been crossing over from Ukraine into other nations, like Poland, for instance. Already 500,000 people have left Ukraine, and probably more than that, but we definitely know about 500,000 people. And the majority of them have been crossing over the border into Poland. They said if Ukraine was a member of the EU, there would technically not be a border between Poland and Ukraine because they're part of the EU. So it's interesting. It's interesting to consider. In addition to Zelensky making his stand there are other Ukrainian celebrities, such as the Klitschko Brothers. For those of you who are boxing fans out there might recall that the Klitschko Brothers were both heavyweights in boxing. They took the boxing world by storm. I loved watching them. They were, fascinating. I thought they were charismatic, likable guys, and they could knock you out. They were very good at boxing. So these guys, who are probably both millionaires right now, have decided they're going to stay and they're going to fight. They are staying in Ukraine also to help out the fight. So this is, all hands on deck there. Grandmas are picking up guns. Wow. I mean, I'm sorry if I sound like I'm hyping this thing up. And I'm not trying to. I know that there are real lives at stake here. I know that this is not a movie. This is very serious. People are dying as we speak. They're putting their lives on the line to defend their land from an invasion. It's just, it's something. It's moving. It's very moving. And also here in the United States and in Canada, we are doing our part in support of Ukraine, and several liquor stores have decided that they are not going to carry or sell Russian vodka. Oh shit, Luppy Girl says Miss Ukraine is out there fighting. I did not know that. That is a fun fact indeed. Thank you for that, Luppy Girl. So yeah, I don't drink anymore, but if I did drink, I would probably buy a bottle of Ukrainian vodka, and I would make sure not to buy or sell any Russian vodka. Okay, comrades? Yes. And let's see, what do I have next here? Okay. It is now time for us to do our timeline cleanse.
Timeline cleanse.
Timeline cleanse. All right. For timeline cleanse, let's see. Okay, for our first video, surprise, this is not a philosophy video. I have two other ones that are his, though. This first one, you guys remember when we were young, when we were kids, and we didn't need technology to have a good time? We could just invent games, right? Like the floor is lava, for instance. You didn't need any technology for that. You just, the floor is lava. So I found something that may or may not be somebody trying to bring that back. They've created their own very low-tech video game. stupid, but it is. It's stupid, but it is, for some reason, it is satisfying. I'll give you another look at it. I loved Pac-Man, so that's my thing right there. Oh, Trump Reaper says she did a video like that. Interestings. Misha Oliver says that's boredom. Perhaps. I loved it though. I loved it very much. All right. Let's see. What's my next one here? Hang on. Okay, next up, this is a philosophy video. And as he says in his original tweet, sometimes it is difficult to meet your brothers.
Go get it. 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 Oh.
Oh, I love that. He didn't want that smoke. He did not want that smoke. It was adorable. Okay, last but not least, I've showed you guys this next video. I've showed you these guys before. These guys, they do everything fast. One video they made, they're like cleaning the house super fast. Another video they made, they're taking out the garbage super fast. I just hope their whole life isn't all about doing things super fast, because it's not going to leave their wives very happy. That is the most inconvenient way to play ping pong. I mean, you could have just kept it on the table. Trump Reaper wants to know how many limbs have they broken. They must have. They must have broken some limbs. Meek Speed says they're really funny, but they put off a strong youth pastor vibe. Lisa Hathaway says, she says, they're like my cats. That's pretty amazing. If you have cats that play ping pong, I would pay to see that. All right. That is it for our timeline cleanse. And it is now time to jump into our main topic of the day, which is pandemic to endemic. So if you're like me and you've been following the news, and I know you guys are like me, I know you follow the news, that's why we do this show. You've no doubt noticed that there's a difference in the news coverage of COVID-19. Like, for the most part, it just stopped. But that's mostly due to the coverage of the Ukraine invasion. And now, does that mean that COVID has ended? No. Did it just disappear? No. But it has been deprioritized because, as they say, if it bleeds, it leads. That's a saying in journalism, in the news, right? Where they monitor, they decide what news we get to see, we get to consume based on how newsworthy they think it is and how many clicks can be generated and how many views they can get. It's a sad fact, but it's real. If it bleeds, it leads. So right now, what's bleeding is Ukraine. Ukraine is a serious crisis, and we've been dealing with the pandemic for 2 years. For 2 years, we've been dealing with it, and it's nowhere near where it was 2 years ago today. So there are differences between epidemic and pandemic and endemic, right? See this graphic on the screen here? The endemic on the far left, it says sudden outbreak in one large population. Pandemic is outbreak spreads through several countries / the whole world. And then endemic is a constant presence with low spread. Constant presence with low spread. So that endemic is where we want to transition to. How difficult is that going to be? I don't know. It seems like whenever we get close to being able to move on to the endemic stage, what happens? Another outbreak of another variant causes us to have to retreat to what the CDC tells us. They say, well, it's time to mask up again. We said you could take the masks off, but now it's time to mask up again. And I think people are pretty tired of that cycle. I think they are. But yeah, 2 years ago today, the streets of New York City were completely deserted, and nobody was vaccinated. There was no vaccine. So 2 years later, this is a picture from February 19th. That's Times Square, fully populated. Some people are wearing masks. Some people are not wearing masks. Some people are vaccinated. Some people are not vaccinated. And that's how it's going to be, like it or not. For us to move into the endemic stage, that means that we are going to have to accept that that everybody's not going to be vaccinated or boosted, and everybody is not going to mask up, no matter how much we think they should. Doesn't matter. Oh, there is a troll here. It says Skinny from the South. He acts like he knows me. You need to leave. So yeah, sure. There's going to be some things like buses and planes that are still going to require masks. Yeah, and I think, hear me out, I believe that at the end of the day, masks are going to help primarily to calm people down. And that is the people who still want to wear masks. Because bottom line, we've all seen the graphics, right? Oh, here's on the subway, for instance. On the subway, you are supposed to wear a mask. But if you can't get everyone to wear a mask, there's always going to be somebody, there's always going to be some people who are like, screw you, man, my freedom. I'm not wearing that mask. Make me. Blah, blah, blah. That's how it's going to be. We've already seen a full year of this. That is what it is. Ultimately, we'd like to get to this point. I'm sick. Me personally, I'm sick and tired of wearing the mask. I'm tired of it. But it did serve a purpose for us. It did help to control the spread. It did, and this is because science. And yeah, people will always have a video that they can show you. It says, look, man, the particles are still getting out. But yeah, but not as much as they would get out if you were wearing nothing. Right? We had these diagrams here, these graphics that came out. Two people, one is infected with COVID, one is not. Neither of them are wearing a mask. The level of protection, none. Now, that same setup with one person wearing a mask, the level of protection is low. Now, with the other scenario, the person with COVID wearing the mask, the level of protection is moderate. With both of them wearing the mask, the level of protection is high. That's it. But we have already drawn our lines in the sand. We've drawn these battle lines. We know who we are. We know where we were in this battle. Yeah, the anti-maskers, the anti-vaxxers, they were busy accusing us. They were accusing us of child abuse because we made our kids wear a mask. In their minds, that's child abuse. They didn't get the memo about how if everybody wears the mask, then it benefits all of us. But if everybody doesn't wear the mask, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. And the higher the number, imagine you're in a room with 99 other people. 99 other people. And all of those 99 people are not wearing a mask. You were the only person wearing a mask. And that mask is really not doing much good for you or anybody. The whole idea behind wearing the mask was that it wasn't meant to protect you. It was meant to protect other people in case you have the virus and you cough or you just breathe or you speak loudly and spittle spray comes out. It's protecting other people from being infected. That's how it's supposed to work. And then on our side, there were people on our side also drew very clear lines. If you don't wear a mask, you are the most selfish, inconsiderate son of a bitch that there ever was. And myself included, I got down with that too, with the non-mask shaming, the non-vax shaming. Yeah, because we saw what the science was telling us to do, that it should help everybody. And the fact that they didn't want to participate in, it meant that they were less patriotic. You don't want to help out your fellow man. Oh, you're bitching and crying about wearing a mask for 20 minutes while you're in the supermarket. You could save a life, and we made people feel guilty. So we have to actually stop that shit. We have to. It's not constructive. It's not constructive at this point. Not anymore. In fact, I don't think it ever was constructive. It helped us both identify who we were and what camp we were in. But now we're in two camps and we can't live like this anymore. We can't be in these two separate camps anymore. You just have to be live and let live, or, live and let die. Live and let die. Here's a tweet from me. I'm not, I don't absolve myself of any responsibility. I tweeted here: if you insist on not wearing a mask or getting vaxxed because of your freedoms, then you should use that same freedom to stay home when you catch the Delta variant instead of going to the hospital. Free to be as dumb as you want. That was mostly frustration with the other side, that they didn't see things our way. But, we already know there's certain people who are not going to wear a mask, and there's some certain people who will, for whatever reason, if it makes you feel comfortable. Most people still psychologically think if I wear this mask, it is protecting me. It's not the case, though. Just so you know, it's not really protecting you, especially if the majority of the people in your presence are not. also wearing a mask. I think me personally, I saw some people say that tweet was fire. I'm not proud of that tweet. I am not. That was a gut reaction, and a lot of my tweets are actually just hot takes. They're gut reactions. I'm not proud of that. I think I do want to get back to a point where we're not at each other's throats. I want to get to the point where I can walk into a supermarket wearing a mask and I don't get dirty looks from people because I'm wearing the mask, or get to the point where I walk in, like right now, wifey and I still go into the store, and for the most part, we're seeing still a heavy saturation of people still wearing masks. Good number, good percentage. I'm going to say it's about 75% of the people we see still wearing masks. It's good. But, I will look at the people without masks and I'm thinking to myself, did we miss the memo? Did somebody say, yeah, just forget about wearing a mask when you're indoors? And ultimately, that's what's going to happen. All these mask mandates are going bye-bye. They are. All around the country, mask mandates are going bye-bye. So, we have that caravan, the truckers convoy going from Canada now to, I believe they're supposed to be headed to Washington, D.C. to try to disrupt the State of the Union. I don't know how well that's working out for them. I don't know if they're still en route, if they still have numbers. I don't know what the deal is. What I do know is that part of what they are protesting are the mandates that are coming down. So but they're going to make this protest about Biden, about inflation, about Ukraine, about whatever it is that they think they can make noise about and draw attention to themselves and draw negative attention to President Biden. So, but this Saturday, I saw a skit on Saturday Night Live. It was early on in the show. I think it was like the first or second skit. And there's 6 people sitting in a diner. And Kenan Thompson's character is still wearing his mask. He's the only one in their group that's wearing a mask. And he didn't even realize that he was wearing this mask. And so they slowly, they start discussing. You can tell that they're all liberal, first of all. You can tell that all 6 of them are liberal. They're all in the camp where we wore a mask during this whole pandemic and we got vaccinated, boosted, et cetera, et cetera. And then they start talking about how mask mandates are all about to get lifted. And then John Mulaney, this guy right here, he says, it's so weird. It's like COVID's not over, but it's just going to stop. Let me read that for you again. His quote was, Debbie. Deb says, careful, because that's what they were doing. While John Mulaney is forming his sentence, people around the table are like, we know where you're going with this. We don't like it. But, he said, it's so weird. It's like COVID's not over, but it's just going to stop. And then from that point on, each member of the group at the table, they tried to share, increasingly difficult thoughts that kind of diverge from the generally accepted narrative about science and COVID safety talking points and about masking up and the vaccine mandates, wondering if some of the things that we did actually helped. Right. And whenever somebody unleashes one of those uncomfortable talking points, they all have these outrageous reactions to it. It was very funny. And it's funny because these are discussions that we need to start having now en masse with our friends and with our family. What are we going to do? Me personally, how's this affect me? The biggest hurdle for me is going to be getting back into the movie theater. I'm not in a rush to get back to the movie theater, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not. There's still some kind of fear of that dude or woman in the movie theater who's hocking up a lung and he's got the COVID. Because God, I remember the early days of the pandemic, seeing people on the ventilator, can't breathe on their own. Seeing those people, they couldn't even say goodbye to their family and friends. They were on quarantine, and that was it. That was a horrible way to go. And that shit stuck with me. I don't want to go that route. That shit is burned into my consciousness. I was terrified of that, So in this SNL sketch, the characters, they pretty much said all of the quiet parts out loud. Kate McKinnon said, I just wonder sometimes if people who are hesitant, careful, if they had a point. John Mulaney, he adds that maybe sometimes we're a little overzealous. Oh, no, you don't. Oh, no. I mean, did people, and he says this, did people actually have to lose their jobs? He says, did I have to say goodbye to my longtime friend? That's that fear. That fear kind of did it to us. Deb B says she's been on a ventilator 7 years ago for pneumonia. She does not recommend it. I'm glad to hear that because I would be surprised if anybody recommended that shit. Kate McKinnon, she tells an anecdote about when she went to a kids' party and all the kids were doing gymnastics and wearing a mask. But then they went into a separate room where they took their masks off and had pizza. And it begs the question, did they even need to wear the masks anyway if they were going to just take the mask off and eat? Everybody who's going out to eat at an outdoor restaurant and you're taking your mask off, that's nothing but spray. That's nothing but spray. So I think if we are vaxxed and we're boosted, I think we have the higher level of protection than the unvaxxed folks do. So we stand a much better chance of surviving if we do happen to catch COVID-19. But the funniest part of this, I thought, was the very end of the skit when John Mulaney says, when an anti-vaxxer get it, I feel happy. God help me. That shit was funny because, it's wrong, but it's kind of vindicating, right? Oh, God help me. But then Kate McKinnon says, we don't have to wash our hands anymore, do we? And John Mulaney says, I never did. That was a very good sketch, I thought. It was very funny. Excuse me. So, yeah, I've lasted 2 years, knocking on wood. Luckily, fortunately, not catching the Rona. I was and there were a few times I had the sniffles. The first thing I thought was, oh shit, I got it. You got me. But I think I would know. Based on what I've heard, when people get it, it's brutal. You would definitely know that you have it. So a little sniffle, that's not it. But yeah, this is a conversation we are going to be having, over the next several months. And we'll slowly but steadily ease our way into it. And, eventually we will just be living with COVID in the air and not worried about it. When we go into a supermarket, no more mask walking into the Costco. It's just, hey, if I get it, I get it. And then, I won't get it as bad because I'm boosted or whatever. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, before I move on to our guessing game, if you have not yet struck that like button, please do so. Please do so now. Thank you kindly. It does help the show. It does help our analytics, our algorithm, or whatever it is. Thank you for that. I see Marie from New Jersey is here. Ness from Connecticut is here too. Oh, look at this. Jim Rubin. God bless your dad. He says, my 94-year-old dad has managed to get through the pandemic, living in Manhattan this whole time, just being super careful and vaccinated. I will say one other thing, right? And this is not meant to be a lecture to anybody, but I've heard enough people already talk about the importance of being healthy. Part of the reason Wifey and I did that Whole30, it wasn't just to lose weight. It wasn't just to shed a few pounds. Being healthier will help us in this new post-COVID world. If your body is good and healthy or whatever, that's all. Okay. Time for the guessing game. Let's name that historical black figure. Now, today is the last day of February. The shortest month of the year, of course, is the month that they give to acknowledge Black history. Shortest month. And how this is going to work is that I'm going to describe a famous Black figure in history, in American history. And if you recognize who I'm describing, you just type it up, hit send, and then I'm going to read off whoever gets correctly, pretty much. Okay? All right. So let me get some tunes on here. There we go. All right. Here's the first question. This individual was an abolitionist, orator, newspaper publisher, and author who is famous for his first autobiography, Narrative of the Life of blank blank, an American Slave, written by himself. He became the first Black U.S. Marshal and was the most photographed American man of the 19th century. Let's see those guesses. Let's see them. Oh, wait, I forgot to advance there. Yeah, there's a picture of his newspaper. All right, I think I've seen enough. You guys jumped all over that. The correct answer was Mr. Frederick Douglass. And for a guy who was the most photographed American man of the 19th century, you'd think he would have figured out a different pose. I don't know why he looks so much like Red Fox to me in this picture. Red Fox really clearly could have played Frederick Douglass. And let's see. Oh my goodness. This is a first. For the first time ever, ladies and gentlemen, my sister, Scribble My Dibbles, is at the top. Good job, Scribbles. Well done. I think this is your first time at top. I don't remember you guessing first before. So well done. Well done to you. And that's her adorable doggy right there. All right. Followed by Nurse Mitch. You know, many people say that Frederick Douglass is doing some amazing things right now as we speak. Nurse Mitch, Cecile Kazemi, the Trump Reaper, Cindy C, Gary Lewis, Lee Saunders. I see you said I'm guessing, but then I don't see a. Oh, you said Hamilton. Yeah, sorry. Okay. The Trump Reaper, Cindy C, Gary Lewis, Garden Always, Jim Rubin, Deb B, Peter is a Boss, Foxhill Dreams, Susie Brizuela, Monique Lee, Misha Oliver, Watcher Soko, Kathleen Cross, Sylvia Correa, Bernadette H, Samantha Hawkins, Philosophy, Lisa Hathaway answering who is Frederick Douglass. Well done. Shel Teresa, Veronica Tello, Cecile Kazemi, Corey Lord, Valerie G. Smila J said he's being recognized more and more every day. That's the quote. That's the quote. Well done. Good job, you guys. Good job. Okay, let's jump on to this next one here. One of the best known African American authors, famed for her autobiographies. Her most influential autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, tells a coming-of-age tale that shows racism as it affected a young girl and how it transformed her into the proud author she would later become. All right, you guys, don't all guess at the same time. You all guessed at the same time. Literally. Just exploded on my screen. Literally. I've seen enough. The answer we were looking for is Maya Angelou. And let's see, who do we have at the top here? We have Samantha Hawkins, followed by Monique Lee, Scribble My Dibbles. Look at you, Scribbles, up at the top three. The Trump Reaper, Bernadette H, Misha Oliver, Nurse Mitch, Lee Saunders, Jen Murphy. And Lee Saunders, don't think I didn't see your comment earlier where you said, I don't think I'll do well at this thing. You've done well already. Jen Murphy, Cindy C, Cecile Kazemi, Deb B, Veronica Tello, Garden Always, Gavin Rutherford, Eddie G, Susie Brizuela, Watcher Soko, Jim Rubin, Kathleen Cross, Foxhill Dreams, Philosophy, Peter is a Boss, Cha-Cha, Susan C, Marie from New Jersey, Lisa Hathaway, Corey Lord, Valerie G, Gary Lewis. Good job, you guys. Okay. Next up. This individual was born into slavery but escaped with her infant daughter to freedom in 1826. She then sued and won the return of her 5-year-old son, who was illegally sold into slavery. In 1851, she began a lecture tour that included a women's rights conference where she delivered her famous "Ain't I a Woman" speech. This one was tough, you guys, just so you know. This one, tough. Tough. Don't feel bad you get this wrong. A lot of you got this one wrong. Just letting you know. This one ain't easy. It ain't easy. Therefore, I think I've seen enough. Seen enough. The correct answer we were looking for is Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth, and at the top we have the Trump Reaper. Sojourner Truth, followed by PETA is a Boss, Monique Lee, Jim Rubin, Nurse Mitch, Scribble My Dibbles, Sojourner Truth, Cindy C, Misha Oliver, Cecile Kazemi. Yeah, don't feel bad about that, guys. That one was a tough one. I know it was tough, but I also know you can handle it. You can handle it. Let's go on to the next one. This individual has won 23 major singles titles, the most by any man or woman in the Open era. The Women's Tennis Association ranked her world #1 in singles on 8 separate occasions between 2002 and 2017. She has competed at 3 Olympics and won 4 gold medals. Who, pray tell, who is this? Who? All right, I think I've seen enough. The correct answer we were looking for is Serena Williams. Serena Williams. Serena Williams. Ra-ta-ta-ta-ta. And at the top of the list, we got Veronica Tello, followed by Misha Oliver, Nurse Mitch, Monique Lee, Corey Lord, Garden Always, Kathleen Cross, Cha-Cha, Cecile Kazemi, Debbie, Sylvia Correa, Scribble My Dibbles, Foxhill Dreams, Jim Rubin, PETA is a Boss, Watcher Soko, Valerie G, Susie Briswella, Marie from New Jersey, Gavin Rutherford, Bernadette H, Cindy C, Samantha Hawkins, Philosophy. Good job, you guys. Good job. Good job. All right. Next up. This individual is an American novelist, playwright, and activist, most notably known for Notes of a Native Son, The Fire Next Time, and The Devil Finds Work. One of his novels, If Beale Street Could Talk, was adapted into an Academy Award-winning dramatic film in 2018. And he's got a very famous quote. It says, "To be a Negro in this country and to be relatively conscious is to be in a rage almost all of the time." Who be this individuals? Cool Whip. Jim Rubin. Cool Whip. Let's see. All right, this one threw you guys for a loop. I'm gonna say I've seen enough. That was a difficult one. We were looking for James Baldwin. James Baldwin. And let's see. Who do I have at the top here? Look at this. You're on a roll, Scribble My Dibbles. Once again, Scribble My Dibbles at the top with James Baldwin. Let's see. Garden Always. Misha Oliver. Foxhill Dreams. Peter is a Boss. Susie Priswella. Monique Lee. Nurse Mitch. Cha-Cha. Jim Rubin. Eddie G, Marie from New Jersey, Samantha Hawkins, Cindy C, Cecile Kazemi. Good job, you guys. Good job. Let's see, what is this next one here? This one is challenging. This one. African American naturalist, mathematician, astronomer, and almanac author. He was a landowner who also worked as a surveyor and a farmer. He built the first clock in America entirely out of wood, accurately predicted a solar eclipse, published his own almanac. He was also placed on the commission that surveyed and laid out Washington, D.C. Hey, Xander Zork, I see you there, my friend. What's up, my dude? All right, let's see. I like this music. All right, I'm going to say I think I've seen enough here. I've seen enough. Seen enough. The correct answer was Benjamin Banneker. Benjamin Banneker. He built a clock completely out of wood. He borrowed somebody's pocket watch and used that as a guide and made the whole clock. It was the first clock to be made entirely out of wood here in America. I guess they'd done it elsewhere. So the Trump Reaper is up top. She says Benjamin Banneker. Okay, followed by Deb B, Eddie G, Nurse Mitch, Misha Oliver, Bernadette H, Cecile Kazemi, Samantha Hawkins, Peter is a Boss, Cindy C, Marie from New Jersey, okay. Here's the next one, you guys. Don't feel discouraged if you don't get these. It means that you are learning something new. Yeah. That's the silver lining on your cloud of not guessing correctly. This one here was an American educator, philanthropist, humanitarian, a womanist, and civil rights activist. She founded the National Council of Negro Women in 1935. She co-founded the United Negro College Fund. And she was very active in black women's suffrage efforts. Yeah, womanist, Deb. I mean, I guess it's feminist, but I just, I pulled this directly from the Encyclopedia Britannica. I guess that was before the word feminist was invented. I don't know. They said womanist. Do 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 do. Oh my God. That damn Alaskan, I love this one. She says, oh my God, is this CRT? Well done. Well done. Love it. Love it. Okay. All right. I've seen enough. This one was probably the most difficult one of the whole thing, just so you know. We were looking for Mary Mcleod Bethune. She also started her own university, which, of course, I could not list that. I would have needed to list her name as Cindy C at the top with Mary Mcleod Bethune, followed by Scribble My Dibbles, Marie from New Jersey, Monique Lee, Misha Oliver, Nurse Mitch, Peter is a Boss, Samantha Hawkins, Cha-Cha, Cecile Kazemi, Bernadette H. Excuse me. Gary Lewis. All right, good job, you guys. Good job. Excuse me. Let's move on to the next one here. This individual was an African-American entrepreneur, philanthropist, and political and social activist. She is recorded as the first female self-made millionaire in America in the Guinness Book of World Records. So not just like the first black millionaire, just the first female self-made millionaire. Famous quote from her. She says, "I am a woman who came from the cotton fields of the South. From there, I was promoted to the wash tub. From there, I was promoted to the cook kitchen. And from there, I promoted myself into the business of manufacturing hair goods and preparations. I have built my own factory on my own ground." Okay, I believe I have seen enough. We were looking for Madam C.J. Walker. And at the top we have Nurse Mitch. Nurse Mitch is at the top, followed by Garden Always. Cecile Kazemi. Foxhill Dream says, wasn't it a movie? I believe it was, because a bunch of people are, shouting out that movie here. Scribble My Dibbles is here. Cindy C. Eddie G. Sanders Zork. Misha Oliver. Monique Lee. Marie from New Jersey. Susie Briswella. Foxhill Dreams. Watcher Soko. Bernadette H. Samantha Hawkins, Heidi Gordon, Peter is a Boss, Veronica Tello. Good job, you guys. Very good. That was a tough one. That was a tough one, too. Okay. Next up. This individual was an American track and field athlete who won four gold medals at the 1936 Olympic Games. The 100 meter, the long jump, the 200 meters, and the 4x100 meter relay. He was the most successful athlete at the Games, and as a black American man was credited with, quote, single-handedly crushing Hitler's myth of Aryan supremacy. All right, and I believe I've seen enough. You guys exploded all over that one. Yes, we were looking for Jesse Owens. Jesse Owens. Very famous Jesse Owens. And at the top here, we have Samantha Hawkins, followed by Nurse Mitch, Eddie G, the Trump Reaper, Lee Saunders, Gary Lewis, Cecile Kazemi, Garden Always, Monique Lee, Misha Oliver, Veronica Tello, Jim Rubin, Gavin Rutherford, Sylvia Correa, Foxhill Dreams, Marie from New Jersey, Lee Saunders, Bernadette H., Scribble My Dibbles, Sandra from Paramount, Susie Brizuela, Watcher Soko, That Damn Alaskan, Heidi Gordon, Kathleen Cross, Cindy C., Peter is a Boss. Good job, you guys. Very good. Very good. Okay, here is the next and final question. Put your thinking caps on. Listen closely. Here it is. This individual was an American lawyer and civil rights activist who served as the Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States from October 1967 until October 1991. He was the court's first African American justice. Get myself here settled in here. Settled. All right. I think I've seen enough here too. You guys were just sitting on this one. You probably knew the answer to this one before I finished reading. We were looking for Thurgood Marshall. Thurgood. Thurgood is a cool name, Foxhill Dreams. You know, they don't name anyone Thurgood anymore. Perhaps it sounds too posh. Thurgood. Thurgood. And look at that, Samantha Hawkins on a mini roll there with, she's at the top again, followed by Monique Lee, Veronica Tello, Nurse Mitch, Bernadette H., Heidi Gordon, Cecile Kazemi, Gary Lewis, Scribbles My Dibbles, Cha-Cha, Cindy C., RJ, Misha Oliver, Marie from New Jersey, Eddie G., That Damn Alaskan, Watcher Soko, Garden Always, Gary Lewis, Marie from New Jersey, Peter is a Boss, Jim Rubin, Kathleen Cross, Susie Brizuela, Veronica Tello, Corey Lord, Deb B., Foxhill Dreams. Good job, you guys. Very good job. Thank you for answering those questions on our very last Black History Month guessing game. And now it is time for our final feature. You all know this as You Raggedy Bish.
You Raggedy Bish.
And today's You Raggedy Bish is none other than Marjorie Three Toes, aka Marjorie Three Names, aka Marjorie Taylor Greene. And why is she here yet again? Because this weekend she attended a conference, AFPAC, the America First Political Action Committee. The individual she is on the screen shaking hands with is Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is a known white supremacist, anti-Semitic, Holocaust denier. Overall shitheel. And what's her face? Marjorie decided that it was inconvenient for her to have to answer to why she was going to endorse or support a white supremacist. So she just lied about it and said she didn't know. But we got some receipts. We got some. And let's roll the videotape.
I have got to get to the airport, but I'm glad to talk to you about this. I do not know Nick Fuentes. I've never heard him speak. I've never seen a video. I don't know what his views are, so I'm not aligned with anything that may be controversial. What I can tell you is I went to his event last night to address his very large following, because that is it's a very young following, and it's a generation I'm extremely concerned about.
It's a white nationalist group.
Excuse me a minute. I'll tell you exactly why I went. I went to talk to them about America First policies, and I talked to them about what's important for our country going forward. Now, in regards to Russia, Putin is a murderer, and he should have never invaded Ukraine. What he is doing is completely wrong. I stand with our NATO member allies, and I'm completely against this war.
It's a white nationalist
Excuse
group.
me, I'm going to finish. Everything that he's doing is wrong. He's killing people over and over. So I'm staunchly against it, and I'm staunchly against Vladimir Putin and his.
I'm just going to stop her right there. She goes on, but she doesn't really address the issue of why she is there supporting this white supremacist. She just tried to sidestep it as if she doesn't know anything about this guy. She's just there to talk to the young people, but she's lying. She's lying because, first of all, everybody already knows that Nick Fuentes is a white supremacist. It's common knowledge. There she is taking a photo with him and Michelle Malkin. People in their circles, they know these things. So does Paul Gosar. And Paul Gosar was recently under the magnifying glass for also having been supportive of this white supremacist. Just in the past 6 months, he was under fire for this shit. So don't give us this bullshit. But also, right, first of all, wasn't nobody asking you, Marjorie, about Russia? Why did you bother to bring that up? You know, you suddenly are so anti-Russia and anti-Putin, but you already know that this sumbitch, Nick Fuentes, has a completely different point of view that you profess to have. Here are the receipts.
Why I went to talk to them about America First policies. Now, in regards to Russia, Putin is a murderer, and he should have never invaded Ukraine.
Can we give a round of applause for Russia? Yes. Absolutely. We are honored, we are humbled and excited to welcome to the stage right now for our first speech, and we love to get to know her much better. I think this is going to be the beginning of something great. The representative from Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Where this guy breaks out into a pro-Russia and Putin chant, and then introduces her. She tries to play it off like she's completely anti-Russian and anti-Putin. Come on. That's that bullshit. It is time for people like Marjorie Taylor Greene to stop getting away with gaslighting the nation. You know, whether she is racist or she's pretending to be a racist just to appeal to the racist elements of her base, neither of those is acceptable. Neither of those. You have to full-heartedly, don't pull a Donald Trump, I don't know anything about David Duke thing. He did that shit back in 2015. I don't know anything about David Duke, when you know damn well he did. In the year 2000, 2001, he was asked about it, and he denounced David Duke way back when. All of a sudden now, you're coy. The man with the best memory in the world claimed to not know a thing about David Duke. Get out of here with that bullshit. And you get out of here with that bullshit, Marjorie Three Toes. You are today's You Raggedy Bish. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I have for today's show. thank you for joining me for another wonderful episode of. Oh, wait, and before I forget, our friend Veronica Tello, I did notice earlier, thank you very much for the kind donation. Thank you very much for that. Here, Meek Spees is asking, how many break lines does he have to cut to make it onto You Raggedy Bish? That's funny. No, you don't qualify for the You Raggedy Bish. Yeah, so that's just straight up gaslighting. Oh, Patricia Haverkamp, too. Thank you, my friend, for the kind donation. I was completely off of the comments while I was doing that thing there. So thank you again for joining me for another wonderful episode of Storytime with BDD. Now, I just want to take a step back to that feature I had about... about the COVID, the post, the endemic phase, endemic versus pandemic. When I first started doing this show, and I started doing the, get your vaccine, get your shot, keep your social distance 6 feet or better. Yeah, that whole thing. That whole thing was based on pandemic sensibility. Pandemic. Keeping everybody safe by adhering to the scientific guidelines that we knew to be helpful. My buddy Philosophy, thank you, my friend, for the kind donation. Thank you for that. So I had started doing that. I had incorporated that whole thing, 6 feet or better. And I still like the idea of, back your COVID infected ass up at least 6 feet away from my infected ass. I still like the idea of 6 feet or better, frankly. Yeah, you don't need to be up in my business. You don't need to be that close. Back up. And other things, seriously, if you're not vaccinated and boosted by now, I don't know what to tell you. You're just going to take your chances. And that's it. I'm not going to lecture you about it. You're either going to continue to be the luckiest person alive, or it's eventually going to catch up to you. That's it. And it might, God forbid, it catches your family member, somebody you care about, somebody who is vulnerable. That's the real risk. But yeah, that it is what it is. I would like to say a prayer. Oh, Watcher Soko, thank you, my friend. Thank you for the kind donation. Jennifer Rayner is joining us at the tail end of the show. Better late than never. I'm glad to have you here. Welcome. I'd like to say a prayer for the people in Ukraine. You're fighting for your homes. You're fighting for your families. I hope you have the strength to persevere and survive and live to see another day in the sun. We're praying for your victory, your victorious emergence from this crisis. That's it. Still, get boosted. If you haven't got boosted yet, please do that. Get boosted at least. Wear a mask if you feel like it. Wear a mask if you feel like it. Keep your social distance 6 feet or better. And have a lovely, relaxing evening. Keep Ukraine in your prayers. I will see you not tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow, which is Wednesday, aka Hump Day. Same time, same place. I love you all. Peace. There we go. Still getting the hang of these digs, but whatever. Oh, it's Ash Wednesday. This Wednesday is Ash Wednesday, according to Veronica Tello. Hey! Here's a good question from Lisa Hathaway. She wants to know how many of the attendees at the CPAC convention are having their assets seized due to the Russian sanctions. Inquiring minds would love to know. Hey! Thank you, Fox Hill Dreams. It is my pleasure to bring valuable history to the show. Hey! Eddie G says she enjoys the glitches. That's funny. Veronica Teller says tomorrow is Father's Tuesday. I also understand it to be Fat Tuesday. Lee Saunders says Shrove Tuesday tomorrow, Pancake Day, and now I'm hungry. Pancakes. Philosophy giving the brother the shout out for the month of shows. Thank you, my buddy. All right, you guys. Thank you. Thank you so kindly for joining me for this episode. And, it's that time. You need to leave.